So with our lovely Miss S, I was going to warm up and work a little bit with some going to our mat or our bed or place behavior. So I know we were discussing a little bit with how to help her be, yes, nice job, cuteness, be successful, practicing things you'd like her to work on prior to needing them. I know you had mentioned that she still does a bit of that jumping, and a lot of times too, she doesn't quite know how to go settle when things get more again, exciting in the dynamic. So with our lovely lady, when we start off with any of the place behaviors, I sometimes like to again have them sort of lure them off and then place them on there by luring them to the mat. Yes, nice job, cuteness. If your babes go and do this by a little bit more free shaping, so anytime they go near the mat or the target, you would mark it with a yes or a click. You would then feed them for any time they approach the designated bubble and make it seem beneficial to go there. She's doing a real nice job. So if, let's say, relaxation for her is a bit tricky at times, definitely pick moments throughout the day where she has had some of her needs met. But I wouldn't do it where the only time you ever practice going to her bed is when she's already really tired. Because if, again, she never really works it through some of that excitement, she may have a harder time going to her bed or her target mat when she does get too jazzed. So we're going to go ahead, wiggle, get her up and moving, and then again, ready bed. Have her target her spot. Yes. And then, of course, you can start to implement your stay behavior. So remember, stay is where your pup is being fed several reps of snacks while they're stuck on their place bed, mat, target. They can also do stays anywhere in the environment, like I had mentioned in some of the other previous videos. So right now, if we're working a bit with stay, and let's say she has a hard time, like if I added distance and she wiggled, I would not start off with that big of a difference between me and her for spacing. In the beginning, I do like to work through those 3Ds. So notice how she got up and wiggled. I would just replant her back into like the bed again. Nice. Feed her for that stationary sort of setup first. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell her to stay. Oh, she's going to get nice and cozy. Even better. When your puppies do get really comfortable on their dog bed or mat, maybe in the beginning start with duration, which is again your time frame between each interval of the snack. As they become more fluid with the stay or even settling on their mat, you will want to, for example, start to change up the dynamic from first off your time frame, so your duration, how many reps can she do, and sort of the time frame between each rep. Is it 1 to 3 seconds, 5 to 10? Have you been able to up it to 30 to 40 seconds before going back and reinforcing her? If in the beginning short and sweet equals more success for her, she's not getting up and wiggling, then I wouldn't do a huge duration time-wise. Oh, okay. Well, we're all out of round cheese, my lovey. Would you like a yogurt or some pineapple? Okay. I'm going to come give you a snack, another snack in 1 second. Ebba's having lots of snacks. So for our lady working this lovely little settle on her mat, you want to, in the beginning, think of your 3Ds and then break it up into sections. So right now we're just working duration. Later, of course, we could throw in more difficulty by throwing in bigger distances, by keeping the time frame short. And you could also throw in distractions. So maybe if sometimes the distraction level is really high, your distance and your duration between intervals might be really small, so she can be successful in that setup. So right now, if we were working this lovely stay, you'll see that I'm just feeding her intermittently throughout being in her down position and just relaxing. When I want her to be finished with this exercise, I would recommend to pick a slogan that you would like to use as being finished. So I normally would say all done. Other students have liked finish, release, free time, all set. You can really make it whatever you'd like. I do tend to stay away from okay as a release word for different things. And the reason behind that is we start to use the word okay very often in our everyday speech, but then we also tend to use okay for the release of a stay, the release of a wait, when coming when called, when being released to go grab something. So I like to have distinct words for those different things. So if I said one of them, it means that thing. A lot of times if okay starts to replace a lot of different other behaviors, your babe may not really know which one you're actually wanting or which one you're sort of, again, talking about. So it keeps it much more consistent. So for a stay, I might say all done. If there's a different slogan, let me know. I have to check my notes again, make sure I'm not ruining it all. No, I'm just kidding. But with our little lady, if you find that you haven't used a release word, pick one that makes sense to you guys. So I would then go ahead, I'm going to feed her last little snack for doing this beautiful stay. I'm going to keep the rest for another time. I'm going to say all done. If your babe doesn't dislike touch, you could go all done and give them some lovies. Oh, she's like, yes, get the whole belly. And then if, let's say, she was a little bit unsure about touch, you could simply just use all done and a visual, but you don't have to get physical with the touching if that's overwhelming for your babe. So we could reset her up in a little sit. If she wanted to do a down stay, then you could also just set her up from the beginning into a down if that seems easier and more attainable for her to hold the down position versus the sit position. So I'm not a huge stickler, so it's really whatever makes more sense for you guys and seems comfortable. So again, if she would maybe like to do a down position, nice. I'm gonna go ahead and feed for that little down position. You can also, if your puppies tend to pop up throughout the down, you can also feed right between their front legs or to the side of them a little bit to keep them feeling that staying low to the ground has value and that even relaxing in this little C shape could also have value. So again, we're going to feed her again. Nice. But going to a place can be helpful for when things get distracting. Maybe all of a sudden you drop something and she doesn't quite know her leave-its yet, or she gets maybe a little confused about certain skills. If you've worked with bed or going to a mat, you could start to implement that when sometimes you, by accident on purpose, you drop a hand towel. If she seems interested, you could say, go to your bed, and then see if she goes and targets as you're adding more difficulty or distractions. But she's doing a really nice job today. And she and our little lady, Miss Winnie, also played a little bit through the fence, which was very, very cute. She's doing a real nice job. So we'll give our lovely Miss S a little breather. Remember, too, that when you're practicing at home with her, or even with Winnie, when you guys are back at home, you may even find it beneficial to sometimes film your practice with them. So you can then go back and see how you're working it. You might notice little mannerisms that you weren't picking up on last time that might actually be confusing you or the puppy. And then that way, if there's certain skills that you're having trouble with, you can also send those videos to me, and then we can sort of discuss what's going on for homework as well. So I wouldn't say send me a video of your puppy failing doing something, but if there's a moment where you're struggling with something within the puppy's safety and comfort range, maybe as company comes in, you practice a little bit and you show me kind of what you're working on, and we can then dive into if that's an appropriate setup or if there's confusion from either end, how to create a more well-rounded approach so she's successful and you guys are super successful at home as well. But for Miss Ash, she is doing an amazing job at her doggy day school. I know she's got one more day on Thursday, and she does technically, I know she missed one of her days, but we'll dive into that together, and I'll let you know what we can do. But she is doing splendid, so keep up the great work. But we'll give her a little breather.